Hi friends, did you miss me? So it's that time of the year where I come and I pretend as if I now understand life and I have figured life out. Spoiler alert, I have not. But I'm going to share with you the lessons I learned in 2025. You know, what stretched me, what grew me, what made me cry. You know, as we get into the new year and we begin to reflect back on the year, we pick up on the positives that we can send into 2026 to become a better year for us. So let's get into the video. This is funny. I have not made a video like this where I'm sitting and talking to the camera. I've not made a video like this in a very long time, so it's very chaotic. Take away all this noise and then let's focus on the most important things. Okay, so let's get into it. The first lesson I learned is that life travels faster than your plans. Before January of 2025, you know, I'm a planner, right? I sit down and I plan, this is what I want to do with my life. If you have watched my videos before, remember this book. I said I was going to plan according to this book, which says that you should plan for 12 weeks in the year. So the first 3 months, and then you plan again and you plan again. And if you do that, you would have planned 4 times in the year, and that would be like 4 years in 1 year, right? I took that advice. But in January, I was like, I have a whole picture of what I want my life to look like. Spoiler alert again. By December, and this is December, my plans in January and me in December, totally different, total outcomes. I mean, almost everything, like the things that I thought were big, like big things, I'm confident this will work out, they flopped. And I had like impulse decisions that I had to make. They were big and all of that, but it worked out. Okay, so I don't really regret it, but I'm just saying that in the future when I'm planning, I will give more room to impulses. Who knows what's going to happen in 3 months? None of us know, right? So the plan is not like a strict book, like a strict code for you to follow. It's just a guide, and like this book said, you continually revise your plans. Am I now teaching you, or am I now saying what I learned in the year? But that's what I learned, that January and December were totally different, and going forward I'll be more flexible with how I plan. The second lesson I learned is that if you can travel, go, like visit places, go to a park, go to tourist places, visit a smaller town, buy you a city. You know, I've always said that I want to travel, and I read books and I travel through the books because travel is expensive. But this year I learned that even just picking your bag and going to a park creates such a vibe. You know, if you can get it, especially in a day where we like pressing our phones, people like us, we are pressing phones, we are reading books, getting out there and just seeing life is very interesting. So that's what I learned, and if I get the opportunity in 2026, I'll travel more. Let's go to the third one. Third lesson is that when seasons changes, don't fight them. And I think it goes back to the first point I mentioned. So I used to read very widely, like different genres. I'm reading mystery, courtroom drama, all of those things. This year my taste has just been very different. Most of the books I read were historical fiction, like set in World War One, World War Two, 1800s, even biblical times. I just couldn't read modern books, like books that were set in the present. It just wasn't working for me. Same with most of the people I used to listen to, like podcast episodes, preachers I used to listen to. I just noticed that people who like come with a lot of energy, it wasn't entering me anymore, and that I would go and listen to one boring 4-hour podcast where they are just talking about things that doesn't make sense, and somehow I found such a deep like I learned a lot from those things. And so it was even shocking to me. I would just pick a book that I used to enjoy, like a series I used to read, and then I pick the latest book and I can't even get through it. I'm like, what's going on? So seasons are changing and you learn to change with it. The fourth lesson I learned is that I still cannot be consistent at the gym. I tried. It wasn't working. I gave up in 2 weeks. That's the lesson. That's the lesson I learned. Is that a lesson? I don't think so. But new year, new me. 2026, I'm going to the gym. Yes, let's go to the gym, people. The next thing I learned, which is not like a habit for me, is journaling. Repeat, like journal, read, repeat, journal, read, repeat. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but if anything I would want to just force people to do, I like to read and I tell people to read, right? Even if you won't read, journaling, oh my god, it's one of the best things that happened to me. I can't even tell you the number of journals I completed, and sometimes some days I'll just feel like I'm not really motivated and I'll go back and read one journal entry. I'm like, who wrote this? Me? Is that Shakespeare? But journaling it has got to be true stuff, or things that where you cannot speak out loud. It is true journaling that has really helped me. It helps you get clarity of thought, clarity of mind. You stay very organized. It just I learned that more journals, more journaling. Also, still on journaling and reading. This year I read mostly fiction, right? Because like I said, my taste had changed. I used to read a lot of these self-help books, right? Like how to do this, how to, all of that. And this year I was just drawn towards fiction stories, like comfort read that would just, I'm very stressed. I just want something that, like releases stress. And fiction was a good place. And I love fiction because usually you just pick a book to read, like to release stress, and you end up learning about something or some history that you wouldn't have ordinarily learned on a normal day, right? But towards the end of the year, I picked up a few non-fiction books, some on money, some on thinking and just life, and I was like, actually next year I should balance it. So this year I have learned that, at least for me, I should balance between fiction and non-fiction. Yeah, fiction sometimes for entertainment, for like it's just literature, English, learning, empathy and all of that. But non-fiction teaches you on specific topics. If I want to learn about money, about productivity, about AI, if I pick a book that was specifically written about AI, I will really learn a lot from it. Let's go. The next lesson I learned, which I think you already know, is that abundance begins in the mind. You take control of your mind, you take control of everything. And I think it's this year certain scriptures came alive in me that like, take your thoughts captive, renew your mind. Immediately a thought crosses you, chop. If it's not something you need, you just push it out. I'll just be walking and I'll be speaking to myself, and I'll be like, hey, I hope nobody thinks there's something wrong with this girl. But if certain thoughts crosses my mind, I'm rebuking it out, taking thoughts captive. And it was really good. Like, it was really good. So abundance begins in your mind. If you're controlling what comes into your mind, what stays into your mind. For example, thinking positive thoughts, focusing on the positive. I'm not saying that even if things are like sad or you're supposed to cry, you should force and laugh at those times. But there's a way you would usually focus your mind on that sometimes just gives you energy to do things or become better and all of that. And there's a way you can just dwell on a certain negative, like a simple negative thought that would come, and then you keep brooding on it, and if you don't take care, you enter into depression. So abundance begins in the mind. Whatever it is, deal with your mind first. That's what the motivational speakers say, and it is true. Am I a motivational speaker? Nope. The last lesson is that you can never learn enough. As far as you are alive, then you have to keep learning. One thing I have noticed is that sometimes you can become complacent, is that the word, on certain areas where you begin to think, there was a course I wanted to take this year. When they were advertised, I was like, I've heard this person before, I've heard them speak. What is it again that am I supposed to pay for this course to go and take it? But they said this and I was convinced, and I paid for the course, and it was life-changing. I remember I sat in just one session And I was like, oh my God, I've had certain questions in my mind for months, if not years, and then somebody in just one session of this course I paid for has answered them for me. How is that, right? So as far as you are alive, you have to continuously learn, and that is what I've put at the back of my mind. I will take courses, I will read books, I will watch good movies, I'll learn from people, I'll ask, I'll get mentors. Keep on learning. So what did you learn in 2025 that you would like to share with me as we get into 2026? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel, people. Like, share with your friends. And 2026, hopefully I will be consistent. Hopefully have a happy new year, and I wish you the best in 2026. Bye.